everyone, we are Geeks Not Nerds. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince.
Vince, today's question comes from Waffles.
I love waffles.
I know, I do too. So Waffles asks, do you think characters like Flash and Green Lantern are harmed by having more than one person be the character? It seems like all the biggest superheroes have had only one person take that identity. Clark is always Superman, Peter Parker is almost always Spider-Man, Bruce is almost always Batman, etc. That's the question. So we're going to talk today about generational superheroes and kind of explore that a little bit. So 10 minutes on the clock. I don't know why I even bother anymore. Away we go. Away Vince goes. So Vince, let me open this with this question: If sometime down the line, Batman had quit being Bruce Wayne and had passed the mantle to another character and had just left the book, would Batman be as popular as he is now? Is Bruce Wayne what makes Batman popular, or is it just the concept?
I kind of feel like at this point, they have had exactly one Batman that people treat as the real Batman. And same thing with Clark Kent. I mean, you could potentially, in the future, either kill off Bruce Wayne or have him pass on the mantle to, let's say, Tim Drake or Dick Grayson, or maybe even
Robin John Blake.
Sounds like Robin, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, should have been Dick Grayson. But still, I would say that at this point you couldn't really force that on anybody. Because you would have to have one extremely long, really epic, really getting people to know Dick Grayson as being somebody that you want to buy as Batman. But part of what people like about Batman is that he is obsessive, that he is crazy. And then when you put another person into his boots, it would have to be the same guy. A person with the same afflictions.
And then what exactly would be the point? You might as well keep them the same. I think that when they put other people in the suit, you know, Jean-Paul Valley and then Dick Grayson, and Dick Grayson a couple times actually, it was just a lot briefer the first time, but I think when they did that, it was just to explore what that would be like and to put Bruce Wayne in a different place while that was going on. But it was never meant to go forever. You know, that was never. I mean, and so I think that most of the people that have written the character would say that you can do that temporarily, but you shouldn't do it forever.
From what I saw, I didn't read much of the Dick Knight, but trademark Manos.
Manos. Yeah. I don't know if we can say that on our channel.
I felt dirty. I was like, you gotta say something about Manos. I haven't read much of the Dick Knight, but
still saying it.
Sorry, but him and that little future continuity that they had within the Teen Titans where Tim Drake was Batman for a little bit.
Oh, I never read any of that.
That stuff was really pretty good. And I think it was Jeff Johns writing it.
Wow, okay.
But for a while there, Teen Titans is really solid. But basically, every time I see a non-Bruce Wayne Batman, the entire point of the story is how hard it is to be Batman and how nobody's really suited to be Batman except for Bruce Wayne.
And it's always treated like a temporary thing, right?
So, I mean, it feels like that. Like, even Bucky stepping in to be Captain America, a lot of his stuff was about how hard it was to be Captain America. Even the Punisher, when they did his What If, it was how hard it was to be Captain America.
That's a great point. And you know what Miles Morales is about?
How hard it is to be Spider-Man.
How hard it is to be Spider-Man.
But you know what's funny?
That's his character arc, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, his character arc is all about, I'm only 13 and I can't do this.
But what's funny to me is that Peter Parker's entire story was about how hard it was to be Spider-Man.
That's absolutely true. So, sure, yeah.
With him, it just works.
It actually kind of does work, yeah. I want to tack on real fast because I don't think this has anything to do with the point you just made. But I do want to tack on to the whole Batman question, or the whole Batman idea, that I don't think that Batman Beyond would have worked without elderly Bruce Wayne in the background.
Yeah, I mean, because
definitely that was necessary.
I mean, basically, we've taken it into the future. What's hard to believe is, like, if you kill him off, that's like, he's gone through how many decades worth of stories now, and you're going to kill him off? You can't just shoot him in the head. You can't launch him into space. You can't do anything. Why? Because he's gotten away from all of that stuff before.
Well, you can kill him if you're just going far enough into the future. If they went 30 more years in the future and that was Batman Beyond, sure, they could kill him off. But what's the point of calling it Batman? At that point, it's the same continuity. We're still in the same universe, but this guy's not Batman. Yeah. This guy doesn't have the same background.
He'd be Kid Bat.
Yeah, He's not the same person. He'd be like one of the Batmans in Batman Incorporated. He's wearing the suit, but he's trying some stuff out. So having started with that question, because I really want to get into the generational superheroes. We will make this whole video about Batman. I really want to get into the generational superheroes. Having said all that, would some of the generational superheroes have done better if they had been like Batman? That's really the question. So, like, if there was one Flash, if there was one Green Lantern, those sorts of what other generational superheroes do we have? Blue Beetle. Characters
Blue
like
Beetle.
that.
Now the question.
Yeah. Although that's new, but yeah, but sure, yeah. Characters like that. Would we have even the and even the Phantom, who is all about
exactly
generational. That's actually his whole point. Would those characters have done better? Some of them, if they weren't generational.
You know what's really funny? The Phantom being generational. Most every story that I've ever read about that was about Kit Walker. So, granted, I think the last Phantom's out. It's been out for a while now. So, whatever. I feel like.
Well, keep in mind though that they're all called that. Every Phantom is called Kit Walker, so you've got So
it all seems to be set in the same time period, so therefore I just assume it's the same guy.
Yeah, but sometimes it's not. By the way, did you read any of Last Phantom?
No, I wanted to.
It was wonderful.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot, and not everybody liked it. But I didn't read all of it. But the issues of that I read, I thought were great. And I'm not even a Phantom fan, but I thought they were great. Anyway, I'm sorry.
I really wanted to give it a shot. Dynamite's been pretty decent with its track record.
It has.
Lone Ranger and Zorro, but.
Anyway, I'm sorry, we're getting off track. But
anywho,
but I mean that one's just straight up generational. But I mean Green Lantern is too. I mean like you have to have the core. You have to have multiple Green Lanterns.
You know the thing. I'll say this. I'd like to say this first anyway. Is I feel like the generational thing has definitely hurt the Flash because it's hurt the Flash at least cinematically because they were trying to make a Flash movie at one point, and it got canceled, or at least it didn't get greenlit because what the people who were wanting to make the movie, they wanted to make it the Wally West version with Barry Allen being either a retired or deceased Flash. But they thought that would be hard for the audience. The studio thought it would be hard for the audience to believe that there was a second generation, or even maybe a third or fourth generation, considering that there have been Flashes before Barry Allen.
And you know what's ironic? Flash forward later, and we've got a movie with the same idea with Hollis Mason and Dan Dreifberg.
Yep.
And that got greenlit.
So they just, and I sort of feel like it's still hurting them because they're having trouble trying to rectify the difference between those two Flashes. Wally West is a more interesting one, but Barry Allen's the one that makes a little more sense being the Flash. So it's hard for them. Like, well, we'll just do what they did with the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds and mix a couple personalities together. That doesn't necessarily work. You can't keep all the boring of Hal Jordan and try to give him all the personality of Kyle Rayner. One has its problems. Don't give it to the other one. You have to forge your own character. It's anyway.
And ironically, I still think that the Green Lantern movie would have been more well received had it been about all of them. Mm-hmm. Not, I mean, you can focus on the human one, but had it been more about the core and had those other characters gotten stuff to do, because the whole point of the Green Lantern of Green Lantern seems to be we've got this whole core. Why would you focus on just one of them and just keep them on Earth? And so I guess my point is that's not even generational so much as just there's a lot of them because they're in a group. They're like Space Police. So it seems like conceptually if you get away from Space Police, it's not going to be as much fun for an audience. It becomes too like cliche superhero.
You know, that's a terrific point. I think that basically once you have taken your idea and boiled it down to a guy with powers defeats somebody else who has powers or is doing something diabolical.
That's like plugging into a math problem at that point.
I mean, there's so much of that haunts comics. Granted, when you have a monthly series, you have a lot of filler that goes on, and what's it get filled with? That.
Yeah.
But that's one of my problems with the Green Lantern and the Flash even, is that it's just a guy with powers goes out and defeats somebody else with powers. It doesn't matter if it's generational at that point, because who cares who's wearing the mask? It's not about the person, it's about the costume. And if you're just wearing the costume and it's just about the guy with powers, why do I care if you're Barry Allen or Wally West? So I will say that I don't think that's necessarily what hurt the Flash. Or I do feel like there has been something that's sort of been hanging on to the Flash over the years that has kept him from really building speed and gaining popularity. He's done well enough to last it all these years, to have lasted all these years, but...
well, he does. He seems to do fine in team comics and team stories.
Yeah, but, I mean, look at Aquaman even. It is hard to keep anybody interested in Aquaman.
Yep.
I mean, he's lasted all these years.
We loved that new series, and it lost us both.
Yeah. I mean, the first, 4 or 5 issues were pretty good?
Yeah. Well, and I still think it's decent. I just lost interest because I didn't care so much about all the flashback stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess we should kind of try to round this up and get to kind of a consensus. I think that with Flash and Green Lantern, we've kind of come to a similar problem with both of them, at least when we're talking about screen and stuff. And I think that is each of them kind of they got away. They either got away from what they were in their inception. What they're about, because Flash is generational and kind of ought to be. They kind of got away from that, or they tried to keep that, and a studio didn't like it. It seems like if they would just keep it true to what it is at the core, you change what you have to do for screen. We talk about that all the time, but you keep it what it is at the core and go with it and try to see what you can do. So I don't know. I don't think the problem is that my bottom line is I don't think that Green Lantern and Flash are less popular than Batman because there's more than one of them. I don't think that's the case. I think that studios are afraid of them because of that and don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. I would say that Green Lantern is a sometimes well-utilized concept and sometimes poorly utilized concept. They feel like they can do the traditional superhero thing, giving the origin of the Space Police. Really? That begs the question, and that's a problem. You can't write a paper, you can't write a story if it begs the question. And the question is, what about the Space Police?
I thought the question was Renee Montoya or Vic Sage.
It's true, and now we're not going to know who it is. But
well, we may when they do that big event next year.
That's true.
I think
they had something like you will not know your identity, and then like washes memory or something.
Really? I didn't know. Oh.
It was just a little brief thing in the Free Comic Book Day.
I forgot about that.
The Flash. Look quickly back to the point.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's fine. I think the Flash is sort of a symptom of waning popularity. I feel like they're desperately trying to get people interested by, well, let's create a new costume, or well, let's give him a new name. Well, let's kill off this one, but we can't just kill off the Flash. We have to create a new Flash, and maybe they'll like that one more. Because it seems like a Flash dies every time you drop the batteries, but
yeah, either Flash or Supergirl.
Yeah. And let's just face it, they're just easy to kill because, they have super speed. And you can catch them in an instant and they just die.
I would say that
like Leprechaun. Where's your pot of gold?
The really popular characters that Waffles is talking about that have managed to stay popular. I do think that some of it maybe has to do with what he's talking about, but it's because what makes those characters who they are is the man behind the mask, not the costume. Whereas you can have different kinds. I think this is really important. You can have different kinds of people be a Flash or Green Lantern, and you can explore these different facets. I'm not saying that the only thing that makes those characters interesting is their costume or their powers. I'm saying that you can have widely different character types in those costumes. You can do that with the Phantom. You can do that with different kinds of generational sorts of characters, and you can do it with Spawn because it's just been done with Spawn, and Spawn is more popular now than it was when it was Al Simmons like 100 issues ago. Because once again, the idea of Spawn is it's a living suit that is set down from hell. Different kinds of people end up with it, and so they did Al Simmons for a long time. It got kind of stale. So he decided, let's give another person the costume, and lo and behold, it sold books. You can do that when it works, but the problem is Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Bruce Wayne is Batman. Now, does that kill Miles Morales? No, because they killed him off, and now it's kind of a different thing. You know what I mean? But I don't think you could have ever gotten away with that in mainline. Peter Parker is Spider-Man, so that I think is a total. And some people hate it. So I just think that it's important to note that the Miles Morales thing is kind of an exception to the rule. But
I mean, basically, I think what it really boils down to is at the character's inception, you have to foster interest in the character as that person. How did the spider get brought to Miles Morales? Well, he didn't just walk in the same way and get bitten and blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's a totally different kind of thing.
There was a build up to it. Wally West
and was related to the original. Yeah.
You see, that's the thing is that like the Speed Force or whatever they call it, I forget now.
It's the Speed Force, yeah.
But and I haven't read I haven't read much. I know that there are stories about Wally West that make you care about Wally West. But really, the stories that feature him are usually about the Flash.
Yep.
So usually, you cannot have Clark Kent not be Superman. That makes no sense because it's really tied in.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just kind of shaking my hands at the camera and floundering.
But I think what I'm saying is with those characters, it's about a personality and it's about a way of thinking. It's about a psychology. You can't have Batman without Batman's psychology. You can have different sorts of psychology wearing a Green Lantern costume. That's all. That's the only point I'm making.
Yeah, and there are individual Green Lanterns that people care about.
Absolutely. Sure.
I'll say this. I'll go on record saying I'm not sure why people like Guy Gardner as much as they do. But
some people just like reading about a jerk face. I don't know.
I'll tell you this. I like Jon Stewart.
I like Jon Stewart too. I think
the Lantern for those of you who are like, I like Stephen Colbert.
I didn't realize they were Green Lanterns.
That's what he does on his weekends.
Well, hey everybody, thanks a lot for watching Geeks Not Nerds. If you have something you'd like us to talk about in a future video, leave that in the comments below. Thanks as always for watching. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince. Reminding you to support your local comic book store.
And remember, if you haven't joined the Geeks United Club yet, we're still doing that. People are signing up for it all the time. People seem to really, really like it. All you got to do is go to our website, wearegeeksnotnerds.com. Check it out. See the list of all the fun stuff you can get, including my book and a random comic from the Comic Book Vault. And you also get to pick a movie for me to review during the year, and tons of other stuff. Go check it out. It's just $20. We think it's absolutely worth it. Thanks again for watching. See you next time. How long can I do this before you just, like, totally move your head? Ah!